Hey, y'all, I'm Shane Sams, host of the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast. Super excited to be with you today and hang out with another member of the Flipped Lifestyle community. I was really pumped up today when I got up and saw my schedule because I'm interviewing my good friend from the Flipped Lifestyle community, Tawnya Kordenbrock. Now, I met Tawnya in the Flipped Lifestyle community. She's a longtime member of the community, and she's been doing amazing things and supporting people in her mission through her membership online. And I love talking to Tawnya, not only because she's just an amazing person, but man, she's got the best video camera I've ever seen. It's like super high definition. Like what's above 1080p, 4K, 72K. I don't even know how many Ks there is, but she's got all kinds of good video quality. So if you want to check this out over on YouTube, go to youtube.com and check out Flipped Lifestyle and all of our videos and look up this podcast. But she's also got a really good mic. So there's going to be good audio quality today as well. So Tawnya and I had a great conversation about how to take her membership to the next level, how to scale her community to where she can serve more people. She feels a little tied down almost in a one-on-one environment right now with her community as it's growing. So we're going to talk about scaling that out, getting more people into her fold, into her brand so that she can help more people through her membership website. And I know you're going to absolutely love this conversation and learn a whole bunch from it too. So I'm going to get out of the way. We're going to play some music. Let's get started. Welcome to the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast, where life always comes before work. We're your hosts, Shane and Jocelyn Sams. We're a real family that figured out how to make our entire living online. And now we help other families do the same. Are you ready to flip your life? All right, let's get started. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast. It is great to be back with you again today. Super excited to help another member of the Flipped Lifestyle community with their online business, their online dream, so that they can change their family's future. And I'm really excited about today's guest. I'm always excited about our guests, but this is one of my absolute favorite people on the planet, Tawnya Kordenbrock. How you doing, Tawnya?
I'm doing good.
I love you, Tawnya. You make me smile. You know that? You do.
Thank you.
When I even it's funny. We were talking off air about how like we all interact with so many people virtually and online and things like that, and live events and all that are cool. But it's like even when I see your name in the Q&A, I'm like, oh, there's Tawnya. Like
Aww.
Just the text of your name. So I'm really excited you're here. So now you've been on the podcast before, but it was a long time ago. A lot of things have changed again since then. So let me turn the mic over to you and tell everybody a little bit about you, your background, and what it is that you are doing online.
Well, let's see. In my personal life, I have been married for 39 years, have 2 adult sons, 1 grandson, and he's always fun, but he's getting to be a teenager, so it's a little more interesting.
I've got a 12-year-old in my house. I know exactly what you're talking about. That teenager stuff.
It's a big shift.
Unbelievable shift.
Yeah.
It's like, and there's always chapters I've learned as a parent, like 1 to 4 is kind of a chapter, 5, their emotions and stuff. This one's different. I mean, it's just something, they've got emotions and wants and desires. And I don't know. Tell me how the adult stuff goes so I can get a preview later. Like the teenager stuff. Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Well, that's different too, but it's interesting. It's fun. It's a growth thing for me as I see them growing. Then I have to think about, well, who am I and what did I contribute to them? And
how did I mess that up? Oh man, why did he do that?
Yes.
No, I was just kidding.
You can't hang on to that. That's for sure. But with my grandson, it's a little bit of a shift of, okay, how do I fit into his life now? What do I contribute there? And so it's a little sad because he's not that happy-go-lucky kid anymore of like, yay, grandma.
Now he's just like, what's up, G? What's up, G? Mom? What's up, G? He's coming up with new names for you, all the lingo.
I'm a little bit embarrassing to him.
But isn't that part of it, like embarrassing our children and hopefully someday our grandchildren? Isn't that why we were put on this? I had Anna Jo tore up Tawnya. We were at this snow tubing place called Perfect North up in Indiana. I think it's in Indiana. And so we were riding tubes. And there was big crowds, huge lines, all sorts of stuff. And so I started a snowball fight with random people. That didn't sit well with her. She was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Having fun." And then I was like looking around, and I heard a little girl had like a Elsa hat on or something from Frozen, the Disney movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I just looked down and I just started as loud as I could singing "Let It Go." And
Oh,
my
wow.
and all Anna Joe's little friends were with us, and they thought it was hilarious because I wasn't their dad and I was singing. They were singing with me. Anna Joe was the most embarrassed I think she had ever been. So I was like, you need a little bit of that. You need a little bit of that in your life. I'm not going to start
Yes.
singing "Let It Go" right here on this show.
Yes. Yes. If they can't handle embarrassment, then they can handle life.
That's right. That's right. So where have you been career-wise, and what are you
Yes.
doing like online right now?
I am actually a licensed professional counselor. But a few years ago, I had to give up my practice. I had a private practice because I became ill and just could not, I was not reliable, couldn't show up reliably for what my clients needed. And it's a lot of responsibility, also a lot of liability. And so I shut that down. I felt like God was leading me to do that and to go into my online program. And my goal was to be able to help more women this way. But so since, let's see, 2018, the beginning of 2018, I believe, I have had my online membership, and I use my Mastering Emotions program to help women who have had traumatic and painful backgrounds to be able to, the way I word it is, rewire their brains to break free from fear, anger, shame, to learn how to love themselves, feel loved by others, and have a deeper relationship with God. And I kind of see it as, what we're doing is we're taking what the enemy meant for harm and we are changing that into good, so that these women who think this is just the way they are, they're disgusted with themselves, they're ashamed of themselves, they're frustrated that they can't change, they can't understand why it's so hard for them. And so I help them to understand how these hurts have actually shaped them to be the way that they are and to handle life's upsets and insecurities and disappointments in the way that they do. And then I also teach them how to change those response patterns so that they can walk through these difficulties in a way that gets them to their goals and helps them to be able to interact in relationships in a more fulfilling way.
It's not just like, it's how to take the scars and turn them into tools, basically. Like how
Yes.
to, it's okay that it's not okay that these things happen to you, but they did. And now we don't have to just ignore them or get rid. It's like, you can use this as growth and learning. And and the journey that's the journey God wanted you to walk down. Right. So you can use those to benefit your life instead of, let them crush your life, basically.
And these are women who have, they're really strong women. They've really pushed hard in their lives and tried really hard to be the women that they want to be. But they don't understand as how their past is still pulling them down. And so I help them to be able to see that and to be able to break free from that. Even though sometimes they think they say, oh no, I've left that behind. Well, really what they mean is I just ignore it.
I love your mission. And like, that's, this program is about business. I mean, it's about growing a business. But I'm a big believer in, like, money supports the mission, and you've got to be able to, that's the way our world works. And if you don't like that, that's tough, because that's the way the world works. But like, what I love about what I get to do is, like, I get to help people like you help other people like only you can help them. And like that's what I love about the Flip Lifestyle community, is whether somebody's helping people raise goats or chickens, or whether they're helping people, rid humans of emotional scars that are holding them back. It's so cool to see the ripple effect from the community when people like you go out there. And you inspire me too, also, because I remember when we first met in the community, I remember you coming into the community, and I remember us discussing these health problems. I think didn't it knock you out of coming to a live event? Is that
yes?
Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, I had to go to the emergency room a couple of times. They kept me overnight and couldn't figure out what was going on. I thought I was going to die, and
and like and stuff like that, though, like to see you continue to push forward And I know other members of the community are inspired when they see you specifically push forward. And that's what I love about our community is it's just a bunch of people doing their best with whatever hand life deals us every day, to build businesses, change our futures, and to send out that ripple and help other people. And you're really, really doing that. So I love that I get to help you do that today in your membership. So tell me about the membership, where it's at right now, and maybe like what's holding you back from growing this thing or what you need help with so that I can help you help more of these women.
Oh, goodness. Well, let me just say, first of all, it is a really powerful program. And these women have seen incredible changes in their lives. But I think, first of all, getting women to come into it, they're very tentative. They don't want to be seen. They are, they're afraid they're going to be trying something new and it's going to fail. And how can this work? That what they've done already in their lives hasn't worked. But so currently I have 9, maybe 11 right now. I think since I filled out the paperwork for this, I got 2 more members.
That's how it works. Action begets action.
It does. It does. It even spurred it on inside of me. It's like, oh, I could do this and I could do that. But anyway,
you're like, I got to talk to Shane. I better have something to show for it.
I got to get my stuff together here. So I did have 9 paying members. This is what I researched. But I'd like to have a lot more. But part of the problem is first of all, I priced it too low. And so that then I did these specials, like with being in your Membership Masters newsletter. I did these specials, which helped because it got new members in, but also like doing quarterly specials, doing 30% off, half off on Black Friday. They took me up on that. At one point, all my members took me up on the Friday half off for quarterly. And wow. I was doing quarterly, I know. And so I already started it out at a fairly low price. It was $99 a month. And so now they're down at basically $45 a month. And so that's one problem is the pricing, but also the level of work at which I do with them is too deep to be able to do with a lot of people. And it's probably similar to what you do with your group coaching that you sell.
Yeah, like the round table.
Yeah. So
but you're trying to do that with everybody in the membership.
I am. And so it is really limited how many can come into it. On a group call, I actually talk to them and they don't use their cameras, but, they're talking to me with their voice and we're looking kind of deeply at what's going on with their situation. And they really get a lot out of that. But, the most I can have on would be probably the very most would be 8. But 6 is really pushing it. Yeah. And they feel that sometimes they have said to me, well, I wanted other members to get to talk. And so I didn't get to talk, which is okay. That's, it doesn't have to be every member each time, but still that's limited. Okay. So I need to figure out a plan to be able to answer questions. And I'm thinking of maybe just doing a Q&A. Where they give me questions ahead of time. The way I'm doing it now is they are telling me of their situation and then I give them advice. They aren't specifically asking a question, which is very different.
And I think that you told me before, we had talked either in the forums or on the podcast or somewhere. Some of these ladies really enjoy anonymity, like they don't want to turn on their camera, or like anonymity is okay in this. It doesn't, like our community is very much based on the party. Like I want 100 people going crazy in the chat and talking when I'm talking, right? But yours is totally different than that. It's like, no, a lot of these people are like, these are deep issues. I need to be anonymous here, basically.
And the
Okay.
way it has been, because it's so small and because it's so personal, some of them have really become good friends.
Sure.
And when new members come in, I think they feel a little bit on the outside.
Yeah, it's like joining a Sunday school class.
It
You
is.
come in and these people have been
Yes.
together and eating dinner together for 2 years, and you're like, "Hi
Yes.
guys." You know what? Can I tell you? Let me tell you a funny story. One time, we joined a Sunday school class. So we moved somewhere, and me and Jocelyn were trying to find a place to plug in, right? And we went to this church, and they invited us to come in to the Sunday school class, and it was exactly what we just said. It was one of these Sunday school classes where everybody had been in. So like this was a really, and like I don't think it was kind of a big Sunday school class. There was like 10 couples in there, and it was laid out. You know how like sometimes you'll do Sunday school in a circle, but like this was very much like classroom style, like rows. So we were kind of the new people. We just kind of snuck in the back, and we kind of sat in the back corner. Then like out of nowhere, like they were like, we were thought we were going to have a lesson and we are going to have a thing. Well, they had this prayer part at the beginning, and they had already, the people we found out later knew this was going to happen. But like this lady stood up and she just started confessing that she was having an affair on her husband. And they started talking about how they had worked through it and forgiven him. And she was like giving all these torrid details to her small group. And I don't even think she knew we were in the room. And I looked over at Jocelyn. I'm like, should we leave? Like, I don't know what's going on here, but it was so uncomfortable because like all those people were so comfortable with each other. And like, I don't think she knew we were in there. So like it is, I know exactly what you mean when I'm like, oh, well, that was strange. And I don't know if I feel comfortable being in this group anymore because everyone already knows each other, you know?
And some of the women have been in there for over a year. Some have been in there for 2 years.
Wow.
And
you don't want to add groups, right? Like that would be overwhelming to do if you just kept adding groups of 6, because it seems like you could have 6 and 1 on one day, 6 and 1 on the other. Are you afraid to add more groups instead of just putting them in? Like I know some people that do membership style masterminds where they say, well, I can handle 8. So if I do 1 on Monday, 1 on Tuesday, 1 on Wednesday, 1 on Thursday, I work 2 hours a day and, I can get up to 40 people paying me $200 a month. Right. Like is that, are you scared of that because of health issues or because of time commitment, or what would be wrong with that?
It would make me a little bit nervous because it is more time slots that I would definitely have to show up for.
Yeah.
And, which I can do, but if I don't know how I'm going to be feeling that day, then, especially if I haven't slept, then it's just like, oh.
Well, I think I have some ideas. Let me,
Okay.
I don't want to get information overload because I see 2 prices. I see 2 problems here. One, the pricing is a problem because you need to definitely price it higher for what you're putting into it. Okay. Even if it changes. I mean, I do counseling, and we do counseling for our son, for our family. Like I do. I mean, I know how it costs money to even go show up for 30 minutes. I mean, you're paying $100, right? So the value is not a problem here because to work in your group is always going to be a great value than getting in your car, going to counseling, making appointments, doing that 2 or 3 times a month. Like the value is huge, right? Like what would you charge to meet with someone twice a month? As long as you're charging that, it's okay, right? So you could raise your price to anything. I think this could be a $300 a month membership, like $297 a month for sure.
I have it at $249 right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think you could go $300 a month easy, and we could start being a little more aggressive with trying to buy customers, right? If we can figure out the one to many, then we can go and grow that feels like the block. Like the price has been raised. We know the value's there no matter how we set it up. It's just, can I handle a bigger cohort? That's the problem. Okay. Now, one, I want you to kind of detach from what you've created, and I want you to detach from how I do things, because that's a trap. Okay. I think this might be a way we need to evolve past the baseline. Okay. I don't think you have to meet with everybody live every time. All right. What I like about yours is there's some built-in reasons to go not live. There's some built-in reasons to go anonymous or to change the way we do live. All right. I like the idea of your people being able to submit questions and you being able to record an answer and releasing an answer video instead of actually showing up live, because it lets you do a couple things. One, it takes away the health concerns because you get to do this when you feel good, right? Like if you're feeling great one morning, you're flexible enough to say, all right, we've got 10 questions submitted from last week. Let's sit down and do 10 minutes of video. And then those get edited together and released into hey, our newest workshop is out. And then maybe you leave comments open for people to anonymously comment and give feedback as a group, right? That's going to allow people to engage with it. I think that's a fine way to go one to many, right? Because if you have 50 people paying $300 a month, that's $15,000. So we can now grow to 50. They're not all going to ask a question every week, right? That's not going to happen. That's just not going to be true. So maybe 10 of them ask a question in a week at most, right? Even with prompting, it probably won't be more than 20%. Okay. So this is an easy workload to get us to $10,000 to $15,000 a month with 50 people. And it takes away now the live component's interesting. The live component, like I love what you said, that your people were like, oh, I wanted to let somebody else talk. Like that's going to happen, right? That's actually what's true. Most people don't realize. Most people think every member wants to talk every time. Not true. 90% of people just want to listen. Okay. Because they're going to get value and things they aren't even thinking about.
Yeah.
So I would like to see your live stuff be like more of a feature. So you've got one really deep question that you've identified through your filtering to do these recorded videos that you can release once a week, right? And maybe it's not all 10 every time. Maybe you do 5 one week, 5 the next, and you can kind of stack them almost like a podcast, but only for your members. But you're recording answers to Q&A. They come out every week, but you still have that accountability twice a month where everyone can show up, and you're just going to do a spotlight. You're just going to do a spotlight with one person who's willing to let you spotlight them more. Okay. Now what we have is the ability to answer every question every week on your own time without having to worry about it. Okay. You can make it more succinct because they don't have to give their whole background story. You can just say, hey, this is anonymous, Jane Doe person or whoever. If they give you their name, this is Anna, or I'm going to call her Cindy because she doesn't want me to tell her name. Here's Cindy's problem. Here's the context. Here's what we need to talk about. And it's like you get to control that flow of how it comes out now. And then you still get to have those little accountability. I think the accountability is important, almost like group meetings, but you got to stop letting everybody talk. Everybody can't talk. You've been to my Q&As. I'll have 100, 200 people there, and I only answer 10 questions. I can't answer everything else happens in the forums. That's just the way it has to be. How does that feel when I say that out loud? Like to give you control back and let you go one to masses, let you serve your people kind of at the level you are now, but you're going to have those just real quick, turn it on Zoom, go through 10 questions fast, put that video in the member area. Now they can go watch it and then still have your accountability, or maybe you just go deeper into one really general issue. Like what's a very common problem that women will find from you? Like, is it confidence? What's something you deal with over and over again through all of your counseling and through this program that seems to be a common thread? Like a lot of people have
anxiety and beating themselves up.
There you go. So say someone this week has a anxiety. I've been really down on myself lately. I don't know why. Nothing. I'm doing I'm getting my kids to virtual school. Me and my husband are getting along, and I just don't know why, but I'm beating myself up and it's not good enough. Like everybody's going to learn from that. So if you did a deep dive with the person and got that other voice on twice a month, you'd need to talk to 2 people a month instead of the whole group. But then you're still going to be able to serve your people because each week you're only going to get 10 to 20 questions,
So what about then, would that involve a forum? Because then when that's my part of my struggle. No, I don't think so.
I think it's a form.
Okay.
I think it's like there's a place. I used to do this. We used to have a tier. It's not there anymore. We used to have a tier where we had an automatic email that went out every week. And it was like, this was back when we charged like $50 a month or something. And like, we had a form that was like $150 as a tier. And so there was like 100 people in that tier, I think, at the peak of it. And every Friday they would get an email that said, hey, what was your biggest frustration or struggle this week? What do you need help with before next week so it doesn't hold you back? So then people could click a link and then they would go to a box, and I had a box that was limited to like 500 characters, not words, characters. And so just like a super Twitter, like 8 tweets, right? And you could ask and give me context in that amount of characters. And then Jocelyn would email them back with an answer. So it was a way to batch service. We could get anyone that the email would go out to those 100 people. 10 of them would write back that week. You had to submit it by 5:00 on Friday. Monday morning, Jocelyn could come in, answer them all at once, and they would just be done. And in 30 minutes, you could serve 100 people. So like something like that, I think, because you do have that anonymity problem. You do have that, whatever. I think community in your thing is created when you're live with them, talking to them, and they know other people are there, even if they don't know who they are or their names, or I think that's fine. Do you do any kind of group community or something, or like a Facebook group or anything?
No.
Yeah. You know what you could add? I think some people would like to see each other and know they're not alone. You could do an actual Zoom once a month. That's more like an icebreaker thing, like get to know your people, make it really super clear that we accept you where you are. If you don't want to show your face, if you don't want to be, if you want to remain anonymous, we respect that. But some people do need to see that connection to get past trauma, right? They need to know there's other people. That could be something you could add in, like a Zoom call once a month where it's just fun. You don't talk about problems. You're just, where are you at? What are your kids into? You do an icebreaker session, basically. That could be fun. Like do some things that are not so heavy to build community that people could participate in. That another thing that does too is you could even say, hey, it's a safe place to show up, but I'll never connect your name or your face with any of the problems we discuss over here. So the heavy stuff is anonymous, right? A member writes in, a member writes in, a member writes in. But the fun stuff is not anonymous. So you give people a safe place to get to know that other people have trauma, but they don't, and they can reveal themselves if they want to, but they don't have to. They're not even talking about problems over here. It's just more like, a book club. Maybe y'all read a book just for fun, like a good book, not a book about personal development or healing, but like Harry Potter or something. I don't know. What do you read? But like, you know what I'm saying? You do fun stuff over here. Movie review week. We're all going to watch a movie this week and we come in, So there's ways that you could scale community that don't require you to answer every single question live every time and worry about if anybody gets it. And then I love the goal of 50 people. Why would you grow bigger than that? I mean, that's 50 people at $300 a month who are getting great value and then shifting you back to where you have control of your time and you're not live as much, or the things that are live aren't as really super important. You get to record these answers when you want to. We could pivot a little bit and it would be more one to many instead of, you're trying to replicate one-on-one. That's the problem. You're trying to make people, your whole career was counseling.
Yes.
So, I mean, of course you're going to do that, but you can't do that. You have to go one to many for your first 100 people. Then you have to go I call one to masses. That's what I do now, right? I scale one to masses. How do I scale one-on-one coaching? I invite you on my podcast. I help you, and thousands of people are listening to this show right now, or will be when we get it out there. So that's one to masses. The Q&As, sorry guys, 15 questions, as many people as show up. Everything else is in the forum, but I have hired full-time staff to answer your questions for you based on our training. So I can still serve one to masses. I just have to hire people to do that, right? And if we can do that with yours, you're going to be able to grow this thing. How's your retention at that price? Is it pretty good?
At which?
247. Couple people on there right now.
No one has purchased at that price. Somehow, the 2 new members I recently got found my lower price pages with $1 trial and a $9 trial.
Yeah, you got to turn those off. Yeah, I'll tell you a trick.
I tracked them down immediately. Like, where is
this? Right. So I have a really good trick. So like we have in Kajabi, we turn offers off. We just I don't know what it's called. My team figured this out. You can turn them off. They're not in the list, right? So you can kind of, I think they're archived maybe. I don't know. So when we're not using a promotion, we just turn it off. But another thing I learned a long time ago is I put a redirect plugin on my WordPress site. So I can make sites. Like if you go to flippedlifestyle.com/free, I know that's always my free offer, right? But we're getting rid of the 30-day trial pretty soon, and we're going to go to a 7-day trial because we're raising our prices and we want a little bit shorter trial so that we can see if ads are working faster. I still want people to be able to come in and look at it because, I mean, you don't buy a car unless you drive it, right? So we're changing the trial, but now I'm just going to change the redirect to the new offer. So I only have like 3 links I ever talk about or have active, but they all can be, I can change where they point. So instead of making a page that's named something, set up a redirect, like in your, some people do this. They'll buy a whole domain name. Like I bought a domain name once called Crank Out Courses, and I was going to have a course about courses. And I was going to just say, go to Crank Out Courses, and it would just redirect wherever I wanted it to go. Right. So you can do that with redirects if you need to make some things like that. And are you promoting that price though? I mean, it sounds like you've raised it and you've not really pushed it.
I haven't. Yeah. I haven't promoted it. Yeah.
Time to do that for sure.
I was kind of, I wanted to wait until this call because I've been so unsettled on what my real offer is.
Yeah, for sure.
That I didn't want to promise it because I'm already trying to figure out, okay, how do I move my current members into, the new thing?
Yeah. And you're going to tell them here's how you do that. You tell members, this is going to sound really harsh, especially because I'm talking to one of my members, but like you just tell your members, this is how it is. And if they don't like it, they have the freedom the freedom to leave. That's okay. It's okay. If you don't like where I'm going, that's fine. If you get off the bus, I'll pull over and we'll make it a nice, easy step and you can go a different direction. But this is where my bus is going. Okay. Now you can present that in a much more tactful way, right? Like you can call out all the benefits of how they're going to get it. Like I'm going to write this down as I go. So I might pause a little bit, but like you can say, hey guys, I have a great idea to be able to expand our community, serve you better and in a deeper way where I can really think more about your answers. And then it's going to be better for everyone involved because I'm going to give you other opportunities to create more community. So then you tell them, wouldn't it be amazing if this membership looked like this? And now you're going to present it like, what if instead of me being on the seat of my pants and trying to squeeze everybody in every 5 minutes, if I could take your questions through a form, think deeply about them, and give you the high quality answer that you deserve? Right? That is better. Like, wouldn't that be amazing? That would be better because they're going to get better answers to all their questions. Right? Wouldn't it be amazing if we could eliminate any problem with you having to ask a question in public, even though you're anonymous, even though I can't see you, even though you're hiding your name? Like, wouldn't it be amazing if you didn't have to worry about that? You just gave me your question on a form. That'd be awesome, right? Now, wouldn't it be amazing if you didn't have to feel so alone? I know being anonymous and some of these things you're dealing with, you don't want to share those. But wouldn't it be amazing if we had another part of this community of awesome ladies that are trying to move past this and heal from trauma? Like, wouldn't it be cool if we could just hang out over here and detach from those problems and hang out with each other in a fun setting, do icebreakers, connect with one another, and, like really have fun? Wouldn't that be amazing? Right. So you're going to present these new things as if the new offer is better, which it is for everybody involved. Okay. And then we just figure out kind of couple other little things like, you got content, right? You got all the content. You got courses in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, training. So then we can highlight the training. Like maybe you make a new order that the trainings go in, or maybe you create a new curated path for people so you can kind of show that off a little bit. Maybe you add a couple workshops or something, But in the end, it's your job to present it in a way that's valuable. It's your job to make sure that it's good for your people, which it is, right? And it's your job to lead them, even if it's not where they want to go, and understand that you can't make people follow you. They're going to follow you if they feel like it's valuable. And if not, they're going to leave. But here's the deal. Other people are going to come. It's not like you're just losing. We never lose people. We replace people, right? If an astronaut goes down and gets the flu, they're going to stick another astronaut on the spaceship. That's just the way it is. And it's the same thing with your membership. I mean, some people aren't going to like when we went to Kajabi, we had a lot of people quit. Not because it wasn't better, it was because it was different. And that scared them. And that's okay. I'm like, look, this is the way we're going because I know in the long run, as your leader of this community, I've done the research. I went 2 years analyzing stuff for you so that I could help you in the best way I think possible based on my experience. That's okay if you don't like this. Godspeed. Keep listening to the podcast. You ever change your mind, I'll be here for you with open arms. Okay. But that's fine. And other people will come in, and that gives you now the permission to go sell this thing at $297 or $247 and go tell people how awesome it is. And you know the offer and you're sure it's the right thing for you and them, yin yang, right? And then they will be more likely to kind of join. So how does that feel? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that feels good. And I don't know that they will. Some of them may leave, my older members, but I think a lot of them will hang on because they like me. They want to have access to me, and they will.
I'll tell you how to phase this in with them as you're building out what it's going to look like. Do this: create the form that says, whatever you do to prompt them on your member calls, that's the text that you would write on the form, right? Create the form and create an automated email that goes out every week. Okay. And then say, the email is just like, hey, I want you to go ahead and submit your question for our next call. Right. So once a week, you're asking for this. You're going to train them to use the form. Right. Then what I want you to do on your next couple live calls is I want you to record it ahead of time, but show up live. And I want you to be like, hey guys, cool thing we're doing this week. I took, we had 4 questions submitted last week from the group. I went ahead and recorded them. Isn't that cool? So I really thought deeply about your things and I want to hit play here for this for you. Okay. Then we'll come back after. And if there's any follow-up questions or if anybody didn't submit a question, we'll talk about that. Okay. So then you through Zoom or whatever, you just hit play and you just kick back and listen and let everybody listen in. Right. You can hang out in the chat and talk to them a little bit about what's going on.
It's kind of like a watch party, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a watch party. And we're just going to get them used to the idea of you recording them. And then they're going to see how amazing it is because the answers are going to be deeper and more thought out. Right. And they're going to then by the time you're ready to say, this is how this works. Right. You'll have already given them a taste of how it works and it won't be such a shift for your members. Another thing that's why people were like, how did you switch to Kajabi? I can't move my payments. I can't move my thing. I'm like, yeah, I've still got 120 people in the old community and we still have people there checking the forums and checking customer service because we had to run them parallel. Now we've put this year in 2020 or last year, we put we've moved tons of people over. We're about to turn the old one off and give everybody you've got until whatever date to move or you're gone. So like we had to run them. We ran them parallel so new people could come in, old people could switch and get used to it. We could get suggestions, but the teeter totter is now tipping where we want it to be. Yeah. And we just ran them parallel to each other because you don't just want to turn it off and on somebody, So you can phase them into it. And that's what I think you would be easily able to do with this.
Okay.
All right. Do you have any follow-up questions from that? I think that's a path to 15,000 a month for sure. You only need 50 people. We can start running ads to that. But,
that would be incredible.
I know, right? But think about this: 25 people would be 25 times 300. 30 people would be 9,000, right? That'd be amazing too. I mean, you can make 6 figures is $8,333 a month. Divide that by 247, and you're looking at $100,000 business with 30 people. So I think that, and as you, with your expertise, you can command that price easily. Did you listen to the Brooke Castillo Membership Masters podcast? I did. Yeah. She's charging $300 a month. She did 35 million last year. Sky's the limit once you figure out how to scale. Yeah. Yeah. And also, what's her name? She's only charging 49. That's, Jody Moore.
Jody Moore. Yeah.
But she has like 4,000 members, so the math just works. Yeah, but they have teams. They both have teams. Very, very small teams, though. I know how their teams look, and they're very small. Okay. So it's not like it takes a ton of people to do crazy numbers. So Brooke teaches a lot of work you do. Yes, only mine's, I think, even deeper. Probably yours is definitely more trauma based than hers. Yeah, I think those people have done work in her thing and they're getting over the last hump, and your people have buried the trauma. I'm really into trauma and healing in the last 6 months. Me and Jocelyn have really went down our journey on that, like looking deep into what we need to dig up and get rid of. So yeah, I mean, I get how far you can bury stuff and how things can happen. So you're providing that kind of deep service basically to people. Yeah. So marketing, what are your thoughts on how to market them? I'm a big believer right now in anything over $200 a month to go straight to sale, like target women in the age group that you want to target. in the demographic that you want to target, like, income and stuff like that. Like don't overdo it. Right. But like, I'm a big believer in going all in on sending them and figuring out how much it costs to buy a customer, because at a price over $200 a month, if you spend $200 to get a customer, right? If we spend $200 on a day of ads and we get one customer, so maybe 20,000 people see the ad or whatever, the first month covers the bill. So like now everything after that's gravy. So if you keep people 2-3 months, you're tripling and doubling your money every time you spend an ad, right? Hopefully as retention gets better, acquisitions first, then retention. That's how it works. You need to get customers and then figure out how to keep them longer. Like in our business right now, I do acquisition. Jocelyn does retention. So she's all about the community. How do we keep people longer? I'm all about how do we get more people in. Once you get to that price point, and probably at lower points in some niche markets, but like not all of them. But in this one, if you could buy a customer for $200, $250, you're breaking even on the first month's payment. And then you're making money in the second month's payment. And I know so many people doing this now. It's a big thing. So it's like, how like old school is like, go get a lead magnet, send some things to the emails and, get their money. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I still do that, right, on other ads. But if you go straight to sales page, I mean, it's just target women in the demographic. And so let's say this, if it's $247 a month and it costs you $255 to buy one customer, right? In theory, you could buy that customer and then they would renew and you make more money. Like you lose money on the first month, but you immediately almost double your money on the second month payment. So I think that's probably where you'll end up going with this is let's put every time someone joins, we start an ad. Every time someone joins, we start an ad, and we try to get more and more money off of that. And then we make money on upsells for lifetime value and all that.
I was thinking about maybe doing paid webinars.
That's fine. It doesn't matter what you send them to, as long as you're selling on the back end of it. So for example, let's say I'm doing a webinar on February. I'm going to do a lot of webinars. I'm going to do like 3 or 4 webinars. I've already got it on my calendar. Okay. And we're recording this in early January. So I know I'm going to do that. So that month, I'm going to spend money driving ads directly to that webinar. But if let's say I spend $5,000 to get on a webinar, right? Then all I got to know is, and I'm going to sell monthly memberships or something, maybe quarterly, but probably monthly, on the webinar. Sometimes I do quarterly on webinars because it lets me do an easy discount without having to discount my monthly price. Sometimes I do monthly, but I give bonuses, right? But anyway, I have to make back $5,000 if I spend $5,000 to fill the webinar. Okay. And as long as I make that back, if I spend $5,000, get, 100 people to come to the webinar, $50 a person at the webinar, and I get, let's say then I get 20 of them to buy on the webinar, and I'm $200 a month. So I spent $5,000 to make $4,000 at the webinar, but I know that some percentage of them are going to renew for like 8 months. Right. So I know I'm going to make money. It's just I'm profitable at day 60 of ad spend or something like that. So that's the game you have to play. You have to think like, right, I need to break even on the first payment, and then I'm making my money off of retention.
Yeah.
So that's probably.
I was doing webinars, and I would sometimes get people to join on webinars, but then they stopped showing up. Like I would get just 1 or 2 people that would show up.
Well, ads have to be, the ad game means it's not, I did an ad, I do ads. Like I'm changing my ad every week to avoid ad blindness. I'm trying new audiences. Like that's a never ending. That's why I'm going to probably go to sales page with sales copy. I might do a video on the sales page, but I'm going to do straight sales copy for this. This is my 2021 plan. We're going to go straight to sales page. We know our sales page converts. We've been doing it for years. So let's just get people to that in different ways. So I'm going to test ads constantly. Like 2 or 3 ads a week running just to keep putting new people on that page. And then there's a trick, like I'm going straight to sales page and it says, click here to get started. Right. So the second page is not an order form. It's a step 1, put your name and email. So I can still get emails and follow up with email marketing, but I'm just not doing it at the very beginning like I would if I was driving traffic to a lead magnet. I'm going to drive it to the sales page, get the click, and then they'll give me their email. Like I did one that last week. I did a promotion last week. I had 3,500 people go to a page. Okay. I think like And then, so that's step one was the sales page. Step two was all right, here's step one for you. And like, put your name and email in. Then you will go to the order form. So I had like 350 people out of the 3,500 went to the page, opt in on that page. Right. And I'm still retargeting the first page. So I can still get those people. And then we had like 88 people in like a 1 week period sign up for a free trial to the community. That's awesome. We usually convert about 50% of our free trials through our retentions onboarding. So, you know, we got 44 probably brand new members at $100 a month. That's great. That adds to the bottom line. So like, that's the flow, is do something that promotes it to the sales page. Once they say click to get started, they've got momentum, name and email real fast. So we've got follow-up, and then catch them on the end of the thing.
When they put their name and email, is that also
it's an
they're
opt-in.
subscribing?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's just a little filter to catch them as they're coming through the funnel, so that they can get in the process. Yeah. Okay. And now, if a tip there for anybody listening to this, if it's getting over people's heads, but like a tip there too is if you as long as you got a tracking pixel on that first page, that second page, I like it, even though it filters some people and some people don't make it to the order form. I just like to catch those emails because I have 5 emails that are automatically going to go out when they sign up for that. So like, we have abandoned cart, like you didn't finish, like what's going on, like, you know, like I can follow up with those people so we get more quality leads. But you can take that, even take that out and just go sales page order form, which I think is how, if you go to fliplifestyle.com/flipyourlife, we drive traffic there. So like, I think that one actually does that. It doesn't even ask for the name and email. It's just target them, get them to the page. All right, retarget them with the pixel. If they click the button, they sign up, they're in, right? Because it's straight to free trial. So I think that's where you go. This gives you permission once you take a couple of weeks to figure this out, where you get it set up, and then in February or the next month, whenever you're done, like just spend ads. Like, find out what it takes to value a customer. That's what we got to figure out. And that may require some investment to learn. You know, it might take you some time to figure that out, a month or two. But that's the game. And once you figure that out, you're good. Okay.
This sounds
awesome.
Great.
Well, listen, Tawnya, this has been absolutely a blast. I love catching up with you, and I always brag on Tanya's camera, because if you're watching this on our YouTube channel or in the Facebook group, she's got like some amazing camera that I've always been trying to replicate with my camera, and it's crystal clear, and I can't understand how she does it. So, all right, so let's wrap this up with a little call to action. Next 24 hours, we got a lot to do going forward. We can talk about that in the forums, but what do you think you need to take action on first, say in the next 24 hours or 7 days, to get the ball rolling?
I definitely want to change my sales page to have a different structure, so then I can feel confident that I know what I'm doing, and then I'm going to
clarify the offer is what you're saying.
Yes, to clarify the offer.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then I'm going to map out what my ads are going to be.
Love it. I have no doubt that you will take massive action and do great things, Tawnya. So thank you so much for being on the podcast today, for being super transparent. I know it's a big ask sometimes to come out here and be so vulnerable in public, but I know a lot of people are going to get a lot of value out of what we talked about today.
Hope so. Thanks for having me. This has been terrific.
Oh, real quick too, there's something I always forget to do. Tell everybody where to find you and find your website, because I always forget to tell our members to promote their stuff. And go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you online.
My website is renewedlife.com. And I have a Facebook business page that is facebook.com/a renewed life.
All right. That wraps up my interview with Tawnya Kordenbrock. What an amazing lady. I love Tawnya. She's so amazing, man. I love how she not only shows up and shows off for her members, but she's a real active super member of the Flip Lifestyle community. And man, I just admire her so much, and watching her persevere, watching her build her membership, watching her pivot and change her membership, and watching her be willing to try new things has been just an inspiration over the years. And she is just one of many of the amazing, great human beings that are inside of the Flipped Lifestyle community. And we would love to have you as one of those humans inside the Flipped Lifestyle community. I'm really proud of our community. It's just a bunch of people, family-focused entrepreneurs who are out there in the world trying to make a difference, trying to make an impact, trying to make great things happen for other people through their membership websites. And it's just an honor and a privilege, not only to help them build their communities, but to be a member of a community with them. And we'd love to have you in there too. If you want to get started in the Flipped Lifestyle community, all you have to do is go to flippedlifestyle.com. That's FLIPPED lifestyle.com/free. And you can check it out. You can try our entire program for free. You can look around. You can kick the tires. You can take the courses. You can hang out in the forums. You can come to Q&As. And you can be a part of the Flip Lifestyle community and see if it is right for you. See if it's what you need to flip your life and change your family's future. That's flippedlifestyle.com/FREE/free. We would love to hang out with you inside of our community today. All right, guys, we are about out of time today for this Flipped Lifestyle podcast. But before we go, we always like to close every episode of the show with a Bible verse. Jocelyn and I get a lot of our inspiration and motivation for business and life from the good book, from the word, from the Bible, baby. And I'm excited today because Tawnya, she has a Bible verse that she would like to share and tell us why it's important to her to give you some inspiration and motivation before we go. So Tawnya, take it away.
Okay. This verse is Romans 12:1-2. That's actually 2 verses. And this is from the New Testament for everyone. And it says, "So, my dear family, this is my appeal to you by the mercies of God. Offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. Worship like this brings your mind into line with God's. What's more, don't let yourselves be squeezed into the shape dictated by the present age. Instead, be transformed by the renewing of your minds so that you can work out what God's will is, what is good, acceptable, and complete." And what I really love about this is it includes your body, it includes your mind, and that word mind not only is your thoughts, but it's also your emotions. And this is exactly what I teach in my program of how we've been shaped by the pains in our lives and how that needs to be transformed, and our minds need to be renewed and our lives need to be renewed. And that's why my website is called A Renewed Life.
All right, guys, that's all the time we have for this episode of the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast. Make sure you download a few episodes and binge those on your device, whether you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or another podcast player. If you haven't done so, go leave us a 5-star review. That really helps us get our message out there in front of more people so that we can help more families flip their life with online business. Don't forget, we do have a second podcast. It's called the Membership Masters Podcast. On this podcast, I bring real members of the Flip Lifestyle community onto the show for one-on-one coaching calls, then I share them with you so that you can get those tips and tactics you need to take your online dream to the next level. On Membership Masters, I interview some of the biggest entrepreneurs on the internet today. People like Pat Flynn, people like Amy Porterfield, people like Brooke Castillo, so many more true entrepreneurs and membership masters so that you can learn those high-level strategies and learn what is happening to make those people so successful in their business too. You can check out the Membership Masters podcast. Make sure you give it a listen and give it a review as well. We'll be back with you again real soon on the next episode of the Flip Lifestyle Podcast. But until then, get out there, take action, do whatever it takes to flip your life. We'll see you then.
Bye.
It's just confusing. It's just very, very confusing.
Yeah.
Our brain cells. All right. That's why I'm trying to delete all my social media except for the Flip Lifestyle community. Just trying to I can't handle everybody else. I just got to help you guys. One more thing before we go. Thank you so much for listening to the Flip Lifestyle Podcast. If you love the Flip Lifestyle Podcast, if we bring a little joy and a little happiness and we bring some knowledge into your life every single week, could you do us a favor? Go to Apple Podcast and hit subscribe. Download a few of the podcast episodes onto your phone. Apple's algorithm loves seeing downloads and it loves seeing those subscribes. And please leave us an honest review over on Apple Podcasts. That'll help us grow the show, expand the mission, and reach more people so that we can help them change their family's future as well. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.